All right, everybody. Well, welcome to another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. And today, as my very special guest, I've got Sam Wiles, and he is with the Paul or Nothing YouTube channel. I was on the Mac in Your Attic episode. What was that, a few months ago? More than a few months ago? Was it earlier this year? I'm trying to remember.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're just going to discuss some things today, some, more recent developments in the Beatles world and things like that. Go through some questions, go through some chit chat. And Sam, you came up with the title for this one, Pints Across the Water, because
yeah, there we are. Repping my salacious brand here, San Miguel. In most episodes of Mac It in Your Attic, you can see me downing some form of alcoholic beverage. So I thought, why not continue that tradition? Now, I'm also from the Paul and I Think podcast. The YouTube is a kind of spin-off of that. Folks, if you want to check out my content, go check out the Paul and I Think podcast. Any place you can get good podcasts. It's an absolutely terrible show. I wouldn't recommend it, but please do listen to it.
No, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into some stuff, riff back and forth. Like I said, good to have you on. And you know what? So I'm to think of a few things, to talk about and everything. So we're going to start off with some more recent stuff, give our thoughts and everything. And I thought one of the first topics, now the 7-inch singles box set, which is also going to be digital from what I understand. Full confession, I'm going to be getting the digital. What are some of your thoughts on it? Like some of the, singles, stuff like that, stuff that's included, stuff that should have been included. What is yours?
I was very upset that Paul didn't send me a personal signed copy, to be honest. I've been illegally using his music for 5 years now, and still I am yet to provoke him into some kind of lawsuit where I get to meet him in court. But yeah, this box set was very interesting. I've been defending Paul and his expensive products for quite a while now. I did a 5-part series on the Got Back tour, and I basically tried to discredit the whole expensive tickets scandal as much as I could. Now that I'm getting minuscule Patreon money, I don't really feel too bad about things like the Revolver box set that we might be talking about later, because essentially once every few months my fans can afford to buy me the odd release, which I'm internally grateful for, and I really don't deserve it whatsoever. But I remember back to when the Sgt. Pepper box set came out, and I just started the show. I was like, this is really not good for the masses. I was very Marxist and proletariat based, but as soon as I could afford it, I was like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty good value for money, yada yada yada. And now Paul has come out with his own George Harrison Gnome box set. It's not quite $1,000. It was about $680, $620, something like that. Around that. Not sure for other territories like Australia and Canada, but it was a pretty chunk of change. Though, is it when you consider how much you get in this box set? It's something like 59 songs, 169 songs, something like that, which is 80 odd singles, all with brand new artwork. They've been reprinted. It'll be the best quality you can get of them. So many of these sleeves have cool foreign designs as well that weren't necessarily in the UK and the US. Of course, as we know, all Beatles conversation is only ever based around the UK and the US. So anything outside of those territories is automatically interesting and more desirable. I've heard it's actually pretty good value for money. It actually works out quite cheap per disc, but obviously you can't just buy one disc. McCartney hasn't made these commercially available singularly, probably because not many people would be buying the Lonely Road single on its own compared to, say, people who would be buying the Band on the Run single. It actually seems like pretty good value for money for me if you could afford it and if you could click in time. I was going to go for the payment plan, and by the time I got to the website, it was already gone. So I'm a little bitter about that, but I do try and remove myself from that when reviewing it objectively. I've also heard he's actually not going to make a lot of money off it. He might even be going into the black with this. He might be losing money. He's got an expensive wooden box, He hasn't got cast iron gnomes in this one, but overall, for the general fan, the big takeaway from this is, oh, cool, Back on My Feet's going to be on Spotify now. Stuff like that. I think that's the real takeaway, right?
No, agreed. Well, first of all, a box, a big blue one. Yeah, I had to rep the Broad Street pin there. Yeah, I mean, my thinking is, well, first, yes, if I had the money, would I be buying it?
Of
Sure,
course you would. Let's not
I'm
mince
thinking yes,
words here. Come on.
I definitely would. I mean, for my money, okay, I can't get the box set, of course. The singles. I mean, I'd be buying every variation of No More Lonely Nights. Shameless plug, but the thing is, for me, yeah, with Right Away, Back on My Feet, some of the other stuff that we're going to finally get as streaming, finally add to my digital library. I also like that aspect.
Down to the River's going to be on Spotify. That's so funny to me.
Yeah, both for, well, there's more than
Cosmically
four, five
Conscious is going to be
different.
available for
Yeah,
streaming.
yeah.
Daytime Nighttime was already on Wingspan online, I believe.
Yeah.
Come on, what other obscure ones?
Now, I Want You to Fly is not going to be on there, though. That kind of puzzles me a little bit. You want to talk about a good hidden song from Chaos and Creation.
Summer of '59 will be available for the first time, though. So there's
there's trade-offs, of course. No,
there does feel like a missed opportunity, maybe I mean, they did create a single that was supposed to exist, the one for Wildlife. Is that Wildlife? Love is Strange, I believe. No. Love is Strange. I Am Your Singer. That's what it is. Like, I do appreciate that they've done stuff like that, but this is yet another opportunity where Water Spout could have finally made its way onto something, and again, it's been dashed in our faces. Paul, please just do hot hits and cold cuts. I know it's been shot down every time you've ever wanted to do it. Please do it.
I know. There's definitely some missed gaps, like you said, with Water Spout. I mean, I'm just trying to think of other things too that that haven't really gone released. I'm kind of blanking.
Well, I mean, there's like certain 12 inches, like I think it's Take It Away, where like Get It is the B side. It's like, you just put Boil Crisis on there. Let's stop messing around here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Boil Crisis. I mean, that's that. Come on, good song. Cage. I mean, something like that. Yeah, exactly. There's a whole out in the secret archives, I'll call them that. There's a recording I have of like a bunch of 77 demos that he does. It's really good and rough. I mean, this is stuff from kind of Back to the Egg. It's off the old Orange label from way back in the day.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, something along those lines. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, it's. Am I going to buy it? Yes, I'm going to buy it. What can I say? I can't wait for the digital single to drop. But I mean, we've had stuff like, I'm just going to bust out a little bit of, of course, I bought the McCartney 1, 2, and 3 right here. The postcards and stuff like that, and the set. Even though I already had it, but just kind of a nice little packaging. Again, I'm a bit more of a completist, but
1 second. Let me go grab my one. One moment, sir.
No, go for it. While we're doing that, yeah. So just taping and everything. Doing that. Grab a nice.
See, Ed, real fans, actual real fans, people who take his catalogue seriously, put themselves into financial woe. I've been in my overdraft last month. I've had to give up many vices, alcohol being the one remaining one, but I did manage to get the vinyl one, which is bigger than my head. And I'm completely upset with it. It was very poor. My copy was, I mean, where's the dent on it?
Oh,
yeah,
that's a shame.
There's horrible deformations there, and you might be able just to see if you see that little bump there, 2 of the inner sleeves are torn. They came torn. And the McCartney 1, obviously, it's very easy to tell on the kind of slick shellac cover that they use on this one. Not as nice a cover as the 33 and the third mixes that we got recently. Thumbprints all over them. And I'm just like, what? I mean, fortunately, I'm spending other fools' money, the people who give me money for my show, didn't actually affect me. But my gosh, I'm upset that other people had to waste their money on such a mediocre set, and the color of the discs were terrible as well. We had like clear, white, and cream. Could we pick? It feels like Ned Flanders picked these colors. What's your favorite flavor? Plain. It's absolutely awful. Like, couldn't we have had a pink one, or like a hot pink one, a lime green one, and like Ferrari red or something like that? Some bold colors. I mean, I love the bright yellow chopper that's still on McCartney's site. You can still get to this day. The Coke Green McCartney 3. There was clearly a lot more effort put into them, and this set, it's literally just something for me to complain about on the internet now. I'm so let down by it. I'm never going to play any of the copies, even though they are the better copies that I own, except for McCartney 1. Obviously, I've got my 33 and a third of that, but I'll still put on my 1980 copy of McCartney 2 and my blue H&V exclusive of McCartney 3 rather than any of them. It's a fun part of my collection to talk about, like I say, to rant about, but a bit of a letdown. Would you say, though, that everyone with this McCartney singles box set was expecting the announcement of Back to the Egg, London Town, or Off the Ground?
I would think probably at least London Town, if not London Town and Back to the Egg was probably. I think there was a lot of the chatter going on, especially like the Steve Hoffman forums, different places like that. It's I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy type of thing. Who, I swear I've seen this copy of this coming out. Some of it's been pretty accurate, but yeah, it's. I think London Town and Back to the Egg seem to be the things that. That people are wanting. I mean, I would love to see that. Heck, like I said, I think I've said it before on different ones. Get me Broad Street, get me Press to Play, get me Off the Ground. I even bought the Wildlife Archive, and that's my least favorite album of his. But I'm still going to buy it. I know.
Wildlife's your least favorite McCartney album. Sorry, folks, we're going to have to pause the show for a moment. What?
it's not just the bird talking.
Oh my God, folks! I might have to leave.
Oh man! Well, everybody, it was nice. Make sure to catch me.
I don't even want to plug myself right now. I'm quite ashamed.
Oh man!
Come on! You like Retro Speedway, the regular single disc Retro Speedway more than Wildlife. You like Rings at the Speed of Sound more than Wildlife. You like Press to Play more than Wildlife. You like Driving Rain more than Wildlife.
Oh, now Driving Rain, and that's gonna be a future episode.
Because Driving Rain for me, it's actually probably my top 10.
Top 10, middle, maybe middle. I mean, I think I started with Driving Rain. Oh, this is definitely taking a turn, but this is so cool. This is why we do this. It's Driving Rain. I think I started off a lot more. Oh, what would I say? Probably a lot more enthusiastic when it came out. Probably because it was the new product and I'm jazzed for it and everything. And then it just kind of, faltered a little bit. I mean, I am going to have to re-listen to it. I'll be honest. I do want to try to re-listen to it with an open mind. There are certain tracks I can't get past, but it's not all bad either. There's definitely some good stuff on there.
I'm biased as hell. I didn't swear. I'm biased as heck towards Egypt Station. It was my first new McCartney release when I was in this podcasting game. I remember I'd left my girlfriends at the time and I was swearing that I wouldn't listen to it on streaming, that I was going to buy the vinyl copy and cycle home. That failed immediately and I accidentally put it on shuffle, and People Want Peace was the first song that played, so I forever thought that People Want Peace was the first song. But digressions aside, I'm worried that Egypt Station is going to be the new Driving Rain. And ooh. I feel like it could be, because it's actually a lot less consistent than you remember. It's still enjoyable in the way that all McCartney songs are essentially still pretty good. Mm-hmm. But whereas the White Album has the Beatles label where you can't even discuss reducing it to a single disc without upsetting thousands of people, there's a very strong case that you could just reduce Egypt Station to a single disc. As brilliantly as Greg Kurstin and Ryan Tedder produced that album, they needed a bit of that chutzpah that Nigel Godrich had to kind of go, let's reduce this, Paul. Let's condense this a little. Do we need People Want Peace and Do It Now? I mean, even some of the more fun, mediocre songs, the kind of the When the Nights of the album, like Caesar Rock or Confidant, you could, I mean, definitely. What's the song that's not about Donald Trump called?
No. Hold on. It's
yes, we can do it now.
I know. Yeah. God, why can't I even remember it right now? Oh my goodness.
Old man looks up something on internet.
I should probably be doing the same thing. I should have that memorized. The captain's
Despite repeated warnings.
That's okay. That's it. Yeah. Despite repeated warnings. Yeah. Not. Certainly not about him at all.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, I hate Paul McCartney again. He wants to lock me up, not before I lock up Hillary again. No.
No, it's funny because that
Lavatory Hill. I'm sorry.
Hill. Yeah.
Lavatory Hillary. Okay.
Yeah.
Lavatory Hill. Yeah.
Well, off of McCartney 3. Yeah, I'm thinking with with Egypt Station, I quite enjoyed it when it first came out. Again,
no one's talking about it, man.
One of my favorites. Caesar Rock kind of has like a Rolling Stone sound to it, to me, anyways.
That's probably why I don't like it.
I think we've had this discussion before. Yeah, I'm a bit more. I enjoy them a bit more, and you're like, that's not my thing.
Don't start me up, all right?
You'll never stop. It's all mixed emotions, anyways.
I'm going to bring you some dead flowers soon. For that one.
Oh, I've got it coming. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and start with the first sort of semi-formal question. Don't worry, I just wrote them all down. I scribbled them like a mad person on paper. Massive cursive and stuff. But so what kind of prompted some of your interest in Beatles collecting, things like that? Where did it kind of really first start for you?
I think it started where 98% of people's interest in it starts. It came from my parents. My formative Beatle memory is my dad used to have the original brick iPod that you could use as a club. You could open cans of beans with it. It was a big, heavy piece of metal. I'm sure it deflected a bullet in the Iraq War at some point as well. There was like a shot of like a guy who'd been shot. It went through his armor, but the iPod protected him. It was a big piece of kit.
Wow.
And it seemingly had more memory than any modern smartphone did. It could hold so much stuff. And he would just download illegally off, what was it called?
Was it Napster? No, it was probably after Napster, I imagine.
It looked like Spotify. It was a green logo. Again, man looks early illegal streaming.
Totally good, man. This is
piracy. What was that called? Yeah, he was just
getting
so much stuff off. Sorry. That's going to bug me more than trying to remember every one of the wacky races or something. That's really difficult. But he would download all this stuff for me, and he would just stock this iPod up with music from all four corners of the globe, whether he listened to it or not. But the technology at the time was still very kind of janky, and you didn't know what you were downloading. There was no way to preview stuff. And so all my early Beatles memories came from what he just so happened to download at that time. And then it was all put in alphabetical order on top of that. So in my head, certain songs flow from one to the other. Like for me, the version of Something, the anthology version, I believe, with that really jangly, tinny guitar, that to me is the definitive version of Something. That's what I always thought that the song was. And then when I heard the actual Abbey Road album version, I thought it was quite overblown and a bit George Martin-y, which as a McCartney fan is quite a shocking thing to say, I know. But yeah, Glass Onion always went in. Get Back always went into Glass Onion. That that kind of thing. It just, whatever songs he happened to have, there was no album titles. This was just Beatles. And from that point onwards, it was just the music that mattered. It didn't really matter where it came from or who, what, and when. And I was just enjoying them as a band. Then my friend Tom, when I had an iPod Nano, gave me just Revolver. And I was like, oh, okay, the albums actually matter now. And then I started to really devour them and just download everything. I can remember listening to Help during my art exam in Miss Snyer's classroom. Very formative memories. I was also getting into Tom Waits around that time, which was when I did a Tom Waits podcast that I did even before Paul or Nothing. Then I went to university and I got a record player. And I remember my dad, when I went to university, he gave me his copy of Sgt. Pepper. This is all on episodes of Macro Neurotic, actually. He gave me a copy of Sgt. Pepper, Band on the Run, and Wings' Greatest. And so many of my earliest memories of university as well are just listening to Wings' Greatest and being, I'm going to say drunk for the purposes of YouTube algorithms here, but you all know what I mean. The kind of stuff McCartney himself is known to imbibe in. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Say no more. Your wife, does she like photos, does she? Yes, she likes photography. Yes. And a very distinct memory of mine is listening to With a Little Luck and hearing that kind of slow, solemn breakdown instrumental segment. And then that really bright tune comes back through. And I remember crying my eyes out. Like literally, like the only time I've cried more probably was when I watched The Elephant Man.
That's pretty heavy, yeah.
And then from that point onwards, I was kind of hooked on the whole vinyl thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to start buying this stuff. And in the same day, I got the McCartney album, Ram, Magical Mystery Tour. And suddenly it started to slowly spiral out of control. And you just pick one up here and there. Then you end up doing a podcast about it because you've got nothing better to do with your life. And suddenly you start looking at what other podcasters who also talk about Paul McCartney have, and you realize you are nothing without the same kind of stuff they have. And then you start getting into 12-inch singles and cassettes and CDs and posters and, you've got to get the McCartney dice. You've got to get the little sketchbook that you end up just writing notes in, and now is totally worthless and you can't resell it. And then you've got to get one copy of Chobber, and then another copy, and then another copy, and then another copy. It was a very slow and steady progress or descent into madness. Actually, will probably be the best way to put it. I had many chances to turn back and chose not to. I guess just because the music's it's that good.
Oh yeah, it's I keep thinking. I was thinking of the Godfather 3 quote the other day. The famous one. You know where I'm going to go with this.
Every time I try to get out, they keep pulling me back in.
Exactly.
That was an answer on the Jeopardy final yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was very happy to get that one.
I'll have to watch it. I don't know if they're broadcasting it that well. Yeah, I know they're broadcasting the daily versions here, but man, I'm still
Paul McCartney one.
Yeah, no. It's are you kidding me? Jeopardy. I can remember when there was the "Give My Regards to Broad Street" question, and to God, when Alex Trebek, God rest his soul, when he was still with us, and this had to be about 2004, I think. Mm-hmm. Now, this is an interesting tangent, but hey, this is why we do this. I remember specifically. Name the 1984 film, and nobody got it, and I just blurted out.
Well, no, it would be as answer. This 1984 Paul McCartney film featured reimaginings of Beatles classics. It would be something like that, wouldn't it?
Yes. And I was just like, and I'm like, you don't know this, but I know. It's I mean, I get there's people that are a lot more casual and stuff like that, and I guess it'll lead me to the other sort of more formal question. Of course, is we're enjoying a pint together. But what about like live shows? I feel like we may have discussed this before as well, but if you've been to any live shows, solo Beatles, whatever it might be, Paul concerts, me specifically, favorite memory if you've gotten a chance to see them.
My first 3 Beatles concerts were the Bootleg Beatles and then the Mersey Beatles. We're quite fortunate here in the UK to have Beatles tribute acts that tour quite regularly. I remember with the bootlegs, I didn't like their Ringo. And then I remember with the Mersey Beatles, I didn't really like the set list. So there was always, I always felt like I was missing something. You know, I'm just waiting for a Beatles solo act to tribute act to do Hey Bulldog, which no one has ever, seemingly ever does, or Revolution 9, or Thank You Girl, like doing weird stuff, not just She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Hey Jude. You know, if I want to hear Hey Jude, I'll go see Paul McCartney. But after that, there was a tribute night at my rival pub. I actually clocked out of work early, and I went over, and there's about 5 or 6 tribute acts, one after the other. I can't remember any of their names. I drunkenly approached all of them, like, "Oh, guys, you've all got to be on my podcast, man. You're great. You really are. I love you. I love you." It was a very embarrassing evening. Although a highlight for me was I actually won the Beatles anthology on CD that night on a raffle. I was very happy about that. I wanted the DVD, but there was another intrepid fan out there who clearly knew what the goods were. Like, you know, there were people like, "Oh, grabbing the Sgt. Pepper vinyl before the anthology DVD. You fool! You absolute fool! What are you doing? You have not. You clearly don't know what you're doing here." There was also some Yellow Submarine action figures, but they also went quite early as well. But after that, I was like, okay, I've actually got to go see Paul now. And the story is one that I've told on numerous podcasts before, my own included, but it's one of my favorite stories to tell. We get there. I'd already had quite a bit to drink in the day, and this was at the O2 in London at the end of the Out There tour 2018, I believe is the Out There tour. And it was like 4 or 5 days before Christmas, so everyone's getting ready for that. London is bustling and heaving, and the O2 is packed to the brim. This was a big Paul McCartney show, the last of the tour. Everyone's excited. I get my Retro Speedway T-shirt merch, and I get a mug. I then go to a pub bathroom and I throw my bag on the floor with some velocity, thus breaking the mug. Mm-hmm. And my immediate thought is, once I've urinated, I'm going right back to that podium where the merch is. It's actually a separate building in the O2. I push through the exit with all the might of, I was summoning my inner Karen. I really was. And I get to the counter. I'm like, "Why have you sold me a broken mug?" And they replaced it then and there. You've got to go in like you own the place. I mean, I've been in retail my whole life. These people don't want the fuss. They'll just give you the shit. It's fine.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I put that in a backpack immediately. I was like, yeah, looking after this second one. I can't do this a second time. Now, I'm quite the agoraphobic. Not really a fan of big spaces, high ceilings, new places, lots of people. It's really limiting when you talk about live music a lot. Or say if there's a motor show with a Wings bus that's in a giant stadium nearby, you're like, someone can send me a photo. So I get to my seats, and not only are they, in this giant amphitheater, this colossal room, but they're also in the nosebleeds. And I try to get to my seat, and I notice my hands are grabbing the railing, and I'm really struggling to get to my seat, and my body's physically unable to do it. And my friend Tom, who I went with, he bought his own ticket. He didn't have to come with me. I could have gone on my own. He's a Beatles fan. He's the same guy who gave me Revolver on the iPod Nano. It all comes back around. And he was willing to say, "All right, we don't have to do this. We can go." And as we were heading out, someone went, "Oh, you can't take your drinks outside. You have to finish them in here first." I was like, "Okay, that's cool." And we were in like a little foyer area, drinking our pints. Drinking our pints. And I swear, this guardian angel descended from the heavens. I did not see this man before or after this interaction. He came and he went like an apparition, like a phantom. And he went, he's got his mop like that. Yeah, he'd probably be played by like Robin Williams or Harry Dean Stanton in a film.
Oh, rest in peace, both of them.
And he'd be like, and he was, you could definitely go to customer services and see if anyone's handed their tickets back if they've had to go. And we're like, oh, let's go right now. So we down these pints like true Englishmen to the point whereby we're causing acid reflux in our stomachs before we even get to the ticket booth. Like, I need a Rennie quickly or some Gaviscon. And fortunately, well, not fortunately for the people who missed the show, but fortunately for me, you know, I think, therefore I am. I'm the only real person there, obviously. And fortunately for me, I was told that 2 people were unable to attend. I think they had babysitter troubles, so they couldn't get someone to look after their kids, and the seats were right next to the stage. They were not on the floor, but they were on the first level of the stands, right next to him. It's close enough that I'm going for it now. Fortunately, I also had bought on the way 8 double pints. I'd never seen these before. I've never seen them since either, but there were these giant tankards where you had enough inebriation to get past your own anxieties. Yeah. And then Paul comes on stage, and the rest is history, really. It was a titanic performance. It changed my life forever. It really changed the way I approach his live content. You know, I went into the Glastonbury show with the best of expectations in a good way, not that kind of snobby, oh, is he going to be able to hit the notes on Maybe I'm Amazed this time? It was just me going, I know this guy can do it to a certain degree. Yeah, maybe it doesn't sound quite as good back in the day, but he's still going to give it his all. He's still going to be on there for 3 hours and not drink a single drop of water or sit down. It's still going to be an amazing performance. And that's what I got at the O2. Ronnie Wood and Ringo came on to do Get Back. So I don't have to go see an all-star band show. I've seen Ringo now. I've crossed that one off. And he also did a wonderful obviously, are you going to be getting New Wave and Ringo the Fourth on a record store day?
Actually, I was not aware of that till you mentioned it. I've got Ringo the Fourth on. I've got this out of print CD somewhere in the archives not over here, but over there, over the other room. You know exactly where I'm talking about. I might pick up if it's the vinyl, I might pick it up just to get it. You know,
I think they're both colored vinyl. It's Ringo the Fourth and New Wave, Old Wave,
which was never issued in the U.S. and Canada. But you get to see Ron Wood, which, by the way, I think which is Give Me Some Nick is a good album. If you don't have that one, a recommendation I can give you.
Type it into my
1979 release that it is like a Lost Rolling Stones album, but you've got Ron on vocals, and it's really good. It's a really good time. You know, have a pint or have a few. Yeah, exactly. Or whatever floats your boat. You know, really good record, really good ragged record. I love it. But to get to see them, I mean, man, that's something.
It wasn't the best song of the evening, to be honest. It was quite slapdash. I felt like everyone maybe had I don't want to accuse Ringo of having a drink or anything, but everyone just sounded a bit drunk. I don't know. Maybe it was me because I myself was absolutely hammered. I ended up vomiting in the taxi. I ended up having to pay the taxi driver £100, about $170 for my troubles, which again was another funny way to end the evening. Of course, Paul also played Wonderful Christmas Time, which is the only time he did it on that tour as well, which was iconic as well. It would have only been more perfect if he'd have performed Temporary Secretary and then gone, "This is for the host of Paul or Nothing in the crowd. We know who you are, Sam. We're not going to sue you for using my music. Peace and love." Yeah. Scratch his nose, thumbs aloft.
Oh, it's quite good. You know, it's very
No meat Mondays. No meat Mondays.
The only way that could be taught to said, "Hey, call me Mr. Broadstreet. There you go. No more lonely nights." I would probably, my head would explode probably.
No, for me it would be, and now we're going to bring on Denny Lane to do No Words.
God,
or Richard Corey or something. Oh my God.
We love Denny. It's funny because I think he was in the Boston area here. Well, probably about a year or two ago, one of those kind of Comic-Cons, a small, and it's like, I could have gone to meet him, Meeting Pete Best was very cool. Meeting Pete Best was like, wow, being in the presence of someone who was in the Beatles, Yeah, and that brings me to like, so do you like collecting autographs and stuff like that? I don't know if we've ever touched on that. So
No, I don't
you're not
care
big on the
about
autographs and stuff.
bubblegum, baseball cards, shampoo, wigs. Not really. All of that extra stuff. I just want stuff that I can play. You know what? I struggle to collect anything that I wouldn't feel cool showing a girl on a second date. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like vinyl's always cool. Always will be. If this imaginary woman who I will never meet didn't like the vinyl, she wouldn't be worth going out with. Whereas I can't see myself walking up to them going, "Oh, here's all 200 of my Beatles monthly issues." It's like, you're going a bit too far now. I do try and stay on the side of somewhat sanity. I'm trying to be more financially responsible as well in my life, and that causes me to really have to wait till something amazing comes along before I even commit to buying anything. There was a copy of Off the Ground going for about £50, about $75 on Facebook Marketplace of all places, and someone had snapped it up before I even clicked the link. I was so upset.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after. A good bargain is what I am. I'm after a good bargain. Driving Rain on vinyl, Off the Ground on vinyl, Temporary Secretary with the sleeve. These are the things I'm after. The bootleg version of Chomper, any bootleg really. I've thankfully a fan sent me a copy of Hot Hits and Cold Cuts. I believe the 83 version. It's the one that's got the extra vocals on Night Out, which is the ultimate take of that song. Because I mean, the take of Night Out that they put on the Red Rose Speedway double disc, which is an amazing album. I'm really glad I have it. It just doesn't compare. It's just Night Out, rather than but I never end, but I need a friend because I don't walk in on a big night out like that. That just adds so much to that track and really finishes it off. And I know that it was made in the 80s after Wings, after three other versions of Wings, but they should just have put that on instead. It's clearly the better version.
That's the frustrating part. Sometimes you'll hear something, or especially, we were talking, even before circling back to the McCartney set, or of course, different B-sides. I think, again, I Want You to Fly, right? To me, one is great. I just love, and then it goes into this psychedelic part, like totally tripping, and tripping and shit out of nowhere. There's my one word for the YouTube audience, but just out of nowhere, and you're just going, yeah, put this out on the proper album. In my view, that should have been on Chaos and Creation, and I would have taken off. I might draw some heat for this. English Tea would have been taken off of the album in place of I Want You to Fly.
So that's the album I'm doing that album next on the podcast. I'm already gearing up for my initial notes. That one's always been one of my favorite tracks, even before I even knew what Chaos and Creation was. Would you care to sit with me? Because it's McCartney. It's silly love songs for the modern era. It's him going, I'm like this. It's I'm here. I'm McCartney. Get used to it. It's that kind of in your face. I don't care what's popular anymore, and I love that kind of defiance. But then it's also on an album with something like Ride into Vanity Fair, or how kind of you, these like dark, mysterious, almost Driving Rain-esque ballads that are so deceitfully interesting and alluring. I can't believe you don't like English Tea. It's so cute and adorable. Very twee, very me. How it's so knowing.
It's for me, whenever I review something, go over something, it's not like, oh, I hate this, it sucks. I don't like it when
he said it. He hates it. It sucks. You heard him say it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't like it when a reviewer says that as I drink another pint. Well, the part of my pint, but anyways, no, I mean it's it doesn't catch fire with me the same way as other tracks do. But again, put it on. Okay, it's there. It's pleasant enough. There are other songs I would probably put in the pickup last category, way above that one. So take for that what you will.
See, I kind of feel like the album's very front loaded, and like the last couple of songs are the ones that I'm least interested in. Can't even remember their names. What are these songs called? Man looks up something on computer again.
Go
Chaos.
for it.
Here we go. Anyway, this never happened before. Promise to you, girl. Yeah, those are the ones that I kind of forget about. Not too interested at all.
Yeah. Anyway, sort of that
anything after Follow Me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this never happened before. That was what, the Lake House, I think. That was in that particular movie. They used it as part of the soundtrack, if I'm remembering correctly.
What, that Sandra Bullock movie?
Yes.
Where she's talking to Keanu Reeves in the future.
That is correct. What? Yes.
This.
Wow. Okay. Hand on my Beatles collection. Hand on my No More Lonely Nights poster right here.
Oh my god!
If I'm wrong, I might have to ship it to you. Only kidding. Only kidding. Disclaimer: I'm not shipping anything to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to Vanilla Sky recently, the song, and and like people hate on Freedom. They accuse it of jingoism and stuff, and like being a bit too simple and a bit too dashed off. That one literally felt like McCartney wrote it in front of the lawyers, like on the day that he had to give them the song. There's a special menu. What's the movie called? Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky. Very weird. I'm not surprised that it's not a part of the fans' clamor for his set list.
I like that one. I like the oddness of it, and for me, I mean, okay, I've tied it into Vanilla Sky, which I haven't seen in a while. I'll have to rewatch it, but it's definitely, I mean, it's a trippy film. It is, it's definitely not your normal Sunday, evening dinner with the family type of film. You can.
There's so many other Tom Cruise films McCartney could have done a song for, like It's a Ghost Protocol. Just.
Mission Impossible. One of the Mission Impossibles.
I love is Collateral. Like if you struggle to come up with a riff on a Paul McCartney lyric, just make it about love, and it'll kind of work.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the hallmarks. That's definitely. It.
I can tell you, see, like our love is written on Schindler's List. Like it doesn't matter how inappropriate it is. Yeah. We're going to save Private Ryan. We're trying to save Private Ryan. There's so many awful.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that one. Oh my god! Yeah, if you tried that one, oof.
Open your jaws of love. I'm so sorry.
The jaws of love. You're gonna need a bigger guitar.
You see, Paul McCartney's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. You don't even appear to be singing until it bites you. And then those black eyes roll over White Album.
Oh my god! Oh god! Well, the pint. I'm losing control, but hey, that's why we do this and riff.
I'll never put on an LP again, Chief. Let me see your hands, Mr. Hooper. I want to hold your hands. Got shitty hands, Mr. Hooper. Been counting money all your life.
Not such a
my 30th birthday. I got a big coffee table book of Jaws. I've watched it about 12 times since. All I can think of, like, whenever I go out, is that sound bad hat, Harry. I'm just thinking Jaws quotes now.
Well, it's funny because I mean some of my family living down on Cape Cod, so kind of it's that similar area. Going through, seeing that as a kid.
Yeah, the mayor threatens. Yeah. If they don't want to come to the beaches here, they've got to go to Cape Cod.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I generally, I'm not a beach person anyways because I burn within like
Martha My Dear's Vineyard.
Yeah, there we go.
Come on.
Yeah, I like that one. We'll go on to another little topic.
One more. I swear, one more.
Oh, no, go for it.
Walking through the shark with Eloise.
Oh man! Oh my goodness! Yeah, Clock is the
No,
sharp.
see, if this was a John Lennon podcast or a John Lennon show, I'd be like, hey, I don't need any of this working class hero crap.
Oh, but we love John too. Like I said, I've just some props I've got. Well, again, one of the things that
one of the 30 reissues of that album, brilliant.
And you know what? I bought both. I bought that. I've got the deluxe one right up there, and yes, I have the digital too.
Yeah, good lad.
I know. We miss him. We love him. And another one we miss and love, Contemporaries. Have you ever listened to it? And what are your thoughts on it? I know we just passed the 40th anniversary of it not too long.
All I've heard is his version that he did of Circles on that album, because I wanted to compare it when the White Album reissue came out.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like it, therefore didn't check out the rest of Contemporaries. Though I am very much looking forward to the cinematic re-release of the Concert for George. I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm very excited. I've got a couple of friends lined up to go see it with me. They're not really big Beatles fans or anything. Like, this is going to be a cool concert film with loads of big names. You'll enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to see how it affects the common man. Really.
I mean, hard to believe it's been 20 years. I mean, it's just
we're so old.
Well, I mean, hey, believe me, I've got a couple years.
I'm going to be in that cinema like Max Cady with a big cigar, going, just laughing away, blowing my smoke at the counselor in front of me.
Well, I can tell you what I'll recommend off of Contemporaries. And I mean, I know it's a full album, so you've done Circles. For me, Wake Up My Love. I think that's my favorite song. That's very synth driven. It's very much, when you do hear that sometime after the episode or whatever. So I don't want to get sued by anybody for playing it. That's generally why I avoid playing stuff on my show, at least. But but Wake Up My Love is a pretty I think my favorite track off of it, to be honest. But yeah, man, no, this is just. Well, I'll go with another kind of interesting one. This is one I asked Ken. No, it's not about radio. I know you don't do radio, and I haven't.
No, I don't have 97,000 syndicated radio shows across the United States that I can just brag about.
Oh God, no! That's God bless him, man. That was pretty cool. I mean, just
Ken is the goat. He is the pod father, as I always say.
I will drink to that. Pints across the water.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's birthday and you say, hey, make me a syndicated radio star.
I'll make him an offer he can't refuse.
Don Corleone, Beatles pun, Godfather, Beatles pun. Oh. There's something in there. I'll interrupt shortly. Let me think.
No, go for it. Go for it. I'm just trying to think what's some of your favorite interviews you've done. It doesn't have to be anybody famous, whatever. But just I know you do a lot on your the Mac and your attic, but just some favorite interviews, memories, things like that you've enjoyed. I know you've had Ed Chen on there. You've had a whole bunch of folks on there.
Who haven't I had on it? It's pretty much Robert Rodriguez and Diana Erickson are the only people who I pretty much haven't had on the show at this point. Mm-hmm. But they're two of the kind of bright shining stars. They're probably a little bit too good for my show, I imagine. In all seriousness, my favorite interviews have probably been with some of the least respectful people in the Beatles world. I mean, I'm the only guy who's got interviews with the notorious scam trickster shyster Jeffrey Giuliano, who we all know as doing those horribly salacious Lennon books in the 80s and 90s. He's got a book that he's working on called Black Widow about Yoko Ono that he can't release until she dies because he's probably going to imply that he had an affair with her. That kind of stuff I love. I love, having complete lunatics on my show, kind of just spouting off nonsense with me, just kind of mouth agape. Those are probably my favorite. But I have met a lot of people who have become my genuine friends, like Phoebe from Another Kind of Mind, Duncan Driver from Diana's show, of course. meeting younger people as well, meeting other. I mean, I always knew I was going to be talking to old farts on my podcast, but I've also discovered so many younger people who have reignited my hope that the Beatles are going to be going forever. Dylan Seavey, Skylar Moody. I had a guy called Vinyl Benji on Mac It in Your Attic recently. You know, I've been talking to Instagrammers and TikTokers and, you know, all these kind of people who are making me feel even more irrelevant than I usually do. Ethan Alexanian's the original Young Man Beatles podcaster as well. Shout out to Ethan.
Definitely. I do have to interrupt for this. I apologize. Again, Ethan, thank you for the thumbnail that you always see. He designed it. I'm going to link to it. That was on my business cards. That's actually on something I'm going to do on the next one after this. When I do kind of my short Thanksgiving episodes, that's coming up for a year, us here in the U.S. There's a cool little caricature that I got done, but that's based off the business card that Ethan did. Fantastic.
No, I've had a few Ethan thumbnails, and then they stopped happening when I stopped paying him. So you get what you pay for, folks. Let's just say that. I would never expect anyone as talented as Ethan to work for free, even though I'd like him to. Other highlights would be like talking to Denny Sywell, Lawrence Juba, of course. Actual legends of the story. I'd love to get Denny Lane on, but he seems to be more and more reclusive these days, especially as a tax exile in America. Chris Whitten, I'd love to get on. Well, any of the 1989 to 93 band, I'd love to speak to them. I've had a few directors of McCartney music videos on. Brantley Gutierrez was one. I'm blanking on the other name. I have had a few, but I'd love to get like Charlie Lightning on, for example.
I was going to say Keith McMillan. Is that one of the folks you're thinking of?
No, Keith. No.
For Keith, though, I know he did a whole bunch of promos in the late '70s to mid '80s, something like that.
He did everything from like Coming Up and Hell on Wheels. He did absolutely loads. Just quickly getting. You might need to cut this bit out quickly. Oh my gosh, I've done far too many episodes. It's very hard to keep a track of all of them. Oh, I'm just going past about 3 episodes with Ed Chen there. Oh my gosh, I do apologize. This is not good radio.
No. You know what? This is exactly. Don't worry about it. This is how we do it. No worries.
This is how we do it. Joe Wisby, that was absolutely delightful as well. Mr. Beatles books. I love chatting with him. My gosh, where is this git? How was your day anyway?
No, it's good. It's good. This is, you know what? This is totally, I think just, those sound something,
I've gone past it somewhere. It doesn't matter, but I also spoke with Vic Singh from one of the big Sopranos podcasts out there, talking Sopranos, and that's probably my least successful episode. I'm not going to say worse, but it's got some of the fewest downloads of any episode, and it's because it was a complete shambles. I just wanted to talk to him just because I loved his podcast, but he wasn't really an appropriate guest because there aren't, despite Tony Soprano listening to classic rock in almost every single episode of the show, they were never like as brave as Mad Men to say spend $250,000 on getting the rights to Tomorrow Never Knows. I believe you see Rubber Soul in the background of one of the shots in the episode with Paul Dano, but that's really about it. That's probably the one I would least likely to go back and revisit. But
that's totally good. One of my early ones. I'll tell you right now, having now that I'm such a professional. You said honestly, I no, but all kidding aside, I think one of my least watched episodes, which I was a little surprised, but now that I look back on it, this is before I got all the editing software, all that type of stuff. It was the ones with the Tom Snyder, like the Tom Snyder interviews. I did a review of that. There was like a DVD set he had out called John, Paul, Tom, and Ringo. He never got to have George on his show. So I was just doing a review of that, and I thought, that would connect with people, yeah, and that it is what it is, as they say.
No, I mean, there are some episodes that I pour dozens of hours into writing scripts and editing and putting together, and they do all right, but then I'll just do an off the cuff quick review of Peter Jackson's The Beatles Get Back on Disney Plus, and because of the interest, that will get more downloads than like several of the other top episodes combined. It is what it is. A lot of it is just jumping on the trends. The Egypt Station episode did well. The McCartney 3 episodes did well because they are the current releases.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that'll lead me to, that was one question I hadn't thought of. See, I hadn't written on my my cheat sheet, totally professional. But all kidding aside, so like when you're preparing a show and things like how much time do you put into a lot of the scripts and things like that? Too much
time, yeah. As the few lucky people who are on my Patreon will know, I fully write scripts for every show. I don't like ums and and awkward silences. I don't like having to come up with jokes on the fly. I do kind of pre-prepare everything, and that works really well for my solo shows. Sometimes it doesn't work as well for stuff with guests. I could tend to pontificate for too long, as your viewers are probably seeing right now. But let's just get the Driving Rain part 1 and 2. These were 2 of my recent long episodes with lots of different topics of research, lots of different clips you need, different sources from different books. I'm still very much a university student in terms of how I build each episode. I have all my sources, this and that. I have, complimentary comments and, an objective that I'm going to work towards. What kind of argument am I going to be putting forward? I don't like to ramble like I do now when I'm just going off the cuff. But yeah, let's go to Driving Rain part. What's this one? Please load quickly. I'm on the spot. Driving Rain part 1. So, how many pages do we have here? 27 A4 pages, fully written, of full script. That lasted about 3 hours. I remember the Flowers in the Dirt part 1. That episode was about 4 hours long, and that's all just fully rehearsed content. When I do a show, I'll pretty much just read a paragraph. If I like it, I'll read the next paragraph. If I didn't, immediately stop the recording, wind it back, take it again. A lot of the time I might say a word wrong. The whole paragraph is started again, and you build the whole episode that way, and it actually speeds up the editing process. You don't have to actually go back and double check if the edit sounds good, because it does, because you've done everything perfectly the 8th time you've done it. There are certain. It's always the first paragraph actually that normally gets the first retakes. It's just me trying to get the right level of enthusiasm for an episode. Like, welcome to Paul or Nothing. No. Welcome to Paul or Nothing. Welcome to Paul or Nothing. Like, it's like a very bad. Like when you see the footage of Robin Williams as the GD,
yes.
Doing all those takes and how flattering it is and how genius he looks. Imagine that, but with none of the talent or entertainment value whatsoever. And that's the average episode of Paul or Nothing. And I can either record and for 3 hours and get it done in one go, or in the case of a lot of these recent episodes, it could be 6 half-hour recording sessions that all have to be carefully stitched together, and you have to do the sound balancing and the quality and the noise reduction, get rid of the background noise, reduce everything, raise everything, gain, that kind of crap. It all goes into making sure that this very cheap podcast sounds as professional as possible. I probably put far too much work into it than I probably need to, but we can't all be podcasts that have producers in London with contacts in the film industry with famous friends to just do everything for us. But I'm not bitter about those shows. I'm not bitter, I promise.
No, I definitely see content out there. They have it is good. Yeah, like they have the professional lighting. I mean, I know you have the the lighting here. Everything is just balanced, just so it's shot to look like it's almost like 35 millimeter film. Something along those lines. And there I go with again. See, there we go. I
Now,
now,
see,
now
the
that I'm
thing with
noticing,
you'll notice if you just do audio only, you'll know what your look like.
yep.
I can spot a Ken Michaels a fucking mile off. I'm sorry for swearing. His like in the audio wave, it's like, say if this is the line, the thin line like that. His regular talking will be like that, and then just have this like that. It's just this huge thing, and it's always way louder than everything else. And you don't even have to listen to the show. You can just kind of just find all these irregularities, stitch it all together, listen to it through one final time, and you're pretty much good to go. On my recent episode with TJ Shanoff from the Untitled Beatles podcast, I apparently left in a toilet break in the middle of the episode, and people have written in saying it's one of the funniest parts of the episode. Like, it was genius of me to leave it in. No one said genius. That's me self-aggrandizing, but it was funny to leave it in. Complete accident. But because it's with TJ, who's a very funny guy, people assumed it was part of, like, there's a very famous comedian over here called Tommy. I'll have to look it up as well. Who had a heart attack, and everyone thought it was Tommy Cooper. Everyone thought it was part of his act, and he like slumps down.
Is this the one I've read on about the internet where they were laughing for 5 minutes and nobody went up on stage to do like CPR or whatever it was?
Yeah, and they probably could have saved him, and he just died. My uncle saw him, and he said that he got an hour's worth of laughter from just him trying to walk through a gate in a fence, like a prop fence. Just the way he would move and stop and not move had this crowd in stitches.
To have that, I mean, that's
power,
ability. Yeah, I mean that would be something, as they say.
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women and wives.
Oh, just like Scarface, man. Yeah, no, it's I'm just trying to think of I think it's been good to have a bit of the conversation and everything. I'm just trying to think of is anything else with I swear I had a thought. I know I had a thought about when you were mentioning editing. Yeah, there I go again. See, totally professional. I mean, totally, exactly. Totally edited.
I've got one for you. What do you think of the revolver box?
Oh, right, the revolver box. Well, the funny thing is,
I got this revolver box. Oh God, I've got to stretch.
I got the well, it's in the other room. I'd have to go and get it, but I have the CD version.
Oh no, just the CD version.
I know.
Don't you listen to Ed, baby? I love you more, don't you? You're my only one. Come on.
I'll give you. If you need a second, I could just walk off.
I mean, they're all kind of in this little orgy here on this segment. I think I could join in with that. Oh, I mean, so do you get a book in the CD?
You do. There is a book.
A little tiny book. You don't get this one.
No, you don't get this one. It's actually it's about that big, believe it or not. I'm kidding. It's kind of like a standard coffee table book, but that looks, that definitely looks like the bigger vinyl version. Oh yeah.
This is some of the best content you'll ever get on a Beatles bonus disc. And if I hear one more of you absolute boobs saying, but we heard that on Anthology, we already heard that one. Oh, just shut up, all right? It's all of the Revolver content you need on one handy double disc. Like, there's not what is it? There's not a version of Good Day Sunshine. They have determined that it doesn't sound good enough to put on the album. Get over it, Oh, why do we have to have 3 versions of Got to Get You Into My Life? Because it's awesome. That's why. I mean, I've largely seen positive reception to it. Possibly even more so than the Get Back box, because the Get Back box set has more to not include, I guess.
Yeah.
There was, where was There You Go, Eddie? Where was Geraus? Where was Fast Get Back? Where was No More Pakistanis version? That kind of thing. Whereas with this, I didn't really know all the bonus content that could exist on Revolve. So, in my own ignorance, as a later generation fan, I did find it to be more valuable. And it's also the first time when I've discovered the love of oh god, the signal fell out.
No, don't take. We don't want any damaged memorabilia on this show. We're a damage-free memorabilia show. Hopefully.
No, I'm sure I've got a scratch on my Let It Be box somewhere as well. But the mono version of this is insane. Oh my god! As someone who has only ever bought record players with built-in speakers rather than buying separate speaker systems, having a copy of Revolver that is designed for my single speaker record player was a completely unique experience. It felt like listening to vinyl and discovering vinyl all over again. And then on top of that, there's slightly different mixes on some of the solos. I feel like I'm Only Sleeping. There's slight changes here and there. That's enough for me. I'm glad that we didn't get like a Sgt. Pepper remix rather than just a remastering. It's more akin to, say, the White Album one where we got, that's raised, that's turned up slightly on the left earphone. That, it's more that, and I think that's what everyone would kind of want to pay for. It's mad that they even remixed Pepper in the first place. Actually, the more I think about it, it's actually kind of insane that they did that.
That looks nice though. That box set looks wow.
Oh, you get the little EP as well, which is absolutely gorgeous in like the proper old Parlophone style. Again, though, it does feel a bit cheap though when it says you get X many discs, and you're like, oh, one of them's a bloody single cheap bits. It gives me a lot of hope for the future, as it were, in terms of like Rubber Soul and even further back.
Well, I think there's definitely plenty of room for like Rubber Soul. You've got Help. You've got Hard Day's Night. Even Beatles for Sale. When I eventually do a kind of a more proper review of that. So I do focus on the soul stuff, but of course you do a lot of times. But we can't ignore the group stuff either. Even Beatles for Sale, which I would put as a B album, grading from F to A, for example, on the US grade.
Dude, I've got so many memories with a girl about that album. Me and her listening to it on her floor on vinyl, playing it over and over, remembering our conversation about how funny it was that you have to open up the gatefold and get it out of that weird slip cover. Very, very strong memories associated with that album. Again, it's totally biased. If I had to rank them, of course, it would probably be towards the bottom end, but I can't disregard it in the way that some people do. Like some people treat it like it's side 2 of Yellow Submarine.
No. Anything with No Reply alone.
Babies in Black.
Yeah. Even the cover stuff they're coming up with. I mean, it's late 1964s. They're doing that. Probably was it October of '64? It came out, something along those lines. So they're already knee deep into the Beatlemania phase, as it were, and they're coming out. They're pressured to come out with stuff. But I mean, of course, even some of the cover stuff, hey, very top notch. So again, I could not grade that below a B. And if that's what you would consider their weakest album, I think a lot of people would love to have an album even like that in their catalog.
I think one day I'm just going to come on to someone's show and say, worst album, Abbey Road. And what? And what are you going to do about it?
Oh, my goodness.
Worst album, Revolver. There's not a good song on it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would be... I could do a Bizarro episode one day where I could just go, I
dude, if you want to do a debate episode and have someone be the devil's advocate, I'll gladly do that, because I'll throw my darlings under the bus for the sake of comedy, 100%.
That does sound like a good idea. Again, maybe I'll do a Bizarro episode where I have the goatee like from the Star Trek Mirror episode. I can't stand Broad Street. Just start ripping into it.
Oh well, I guess I guess you'll just be pretending to be most other people.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good. Oh man, yeah, I know.
Hey-o.
I know. I do get where people come from.
Because
I
it's
will just like
objectively terrible. Yeah, you are clever.
subjectively.
You-
You're on my show, man. It's fisticuffs. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm
Look,
glad. I'm glad, man. I'm
dude,
glad.
not to be that guy. I happen to have a degree in film. It's badly written. Fundamentally, the script is beyond redemption, and it's the one of the best vanity projects there is. But that's the best compliment you can give it, and remain entirely credible. I feel.
No, different strokes. I mean, I look at it.
No, I'm right. I'm
You're
big,
right.
you're small, I'm old, you're young, I'm right, and you're wrong, Matilda, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm sorry. The transmission's breaking up, Sulu.
Sir, we have a transmission coming in on the screen. Hello.
This is what you get with pints across the water, man. Oh, I think
God damn it, Jim! I'm the Crimson Dynamo, not Magneto. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing there. That was awful. No. I'm a something, not a Dr. Robert. Yeah. I'm a Dr. Robert. Yeah. There we go.
Oh my goodness.
I need to go to bed. I'm just rambling now. I'm ruining
Oh
the quality
goodness.
of your
Yeah,
show.
no. I think this is the good point to kind of to kind of cap it off. But we are going to cap it off properly. Well, first of all, I appreciate the pint, Sam. This is awesome. I'm definitely going to have you back on. Even though you're wrong about Broad Street, but we're going to have to see here. Although in real life, I'd probably start running. You put up fists, I'll start running and ducking. Like what was it, Chomps to the Philippines?
I will fight you the way John Lennon fights a man who also dies of a hemorrhage a couple of days later. That's how I fight. I will fight you like John Lennon fights waitresses.
Yeah, ouch, yeah. Oh goodness, no, that's I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't believe it.
No, but
I
will fight for my right to live in freedom.
But all kidding aside, okay, so we're gonna do the wrap up segment now. So, as we discussed, you do the the Paul there you go the Paul or Nothing. So tell people latest projects, where they can find you. I'm gonna go ahead and link to stuff below in the description here, right below as I'm pointing down or wherever it is. Yeah, or it could be up. It could be anywhere at this point, however the layout is in different countries. But tell folks latest projects, where we can find you.
So I've just completed a 4-part series on Driving Rain. Part 1, talk about all the non-musical stuff Paul did. That's about 3 hours long. Then in part 2, I discuss all the musical stuff Paul did. That's about 3 hours as well. Then part 3, I talk with the podfather Ken Michaels about Driving Rain. Then part 4, I get TJ Shanov of the Entitled Beatles podcast on to do the very same thing. I'm so proud of that series. I remember back when I started the show, RAM is 1 episode. That's it's like an hour and a half. So I know that I'm going to have to go back and do all these albums again. That's something I'm looking forward to do in the near future. Tomorrow I'm recording an episode. I'm going to be interviewing David Rees, the author of The Beatles in 1963. That's coming out soon. I'm really looking forward to talking about that. I've been devouring that book as well. In the near future, me and Dylan Seavey are going to be tackling back in the US or back in the world as well. We're going to be doing Rushes soon with my friend Tom. We're going to be doing the concert for George with Dylan as well, which is very timely considering that's going to be re-released as well. Hopefully I'm going to start doing the McCartney orchestral stuff soon as well. Unfortunately, Two Legs has already had Alan Kozin on to discuss classical music, and that's unfortunately the best idea you could possibly do in this format. So I'm going to think of something slightly different. Maybe I'll have my Nan on or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, lot going on at Paul Nothing. A lot has just come out as well. There's a 5-part series on the Out There tour you can check out. I did a 4-part series on the Get Back docu-series. Maybe go check out my 3-part series on the Paul is Dead conspiracy. I'm very proud of that one as well. But yeah, you can go check me out and all of the links down below. If you just type in Paul Nothing or Paul McCartney podcast into any platform where you can find that sort of thing, you'll probably find me. Nice big orange thumbnail. You can't miss it. But dude, thank you for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. It really has. Being able to go off,
I appreciate it. Look, we've had our pint across the waters. We do have to do another one before we kind of really wrap things up. Yeah, my glass is empty. I'm gonna have to refill it later. It's about whatever time it is here, 8 something or so in the here in the States. David Reeves, if he's the one that did the VH1 Rock Stars Encyclopedia,
yeah,
I would love to know if they. Well, I'm sure they're never going to really do a follow up because that's kind of more like a. God forgive me, more like a Bible of sorts for a lot of rock, music information. That book alone has been a major resource, not just for Beatles, but just for other stuff. The only bad thing is it just goes up to 1999, and so much has happened in the past.
Yeah, like the death of rock and roll.
Yeah. Oh God, that's that. Now that you're mentioning that could be a whole other topic. Oh my goodness, debate topic. The death of rock and roll. Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna end on my most controversial Paul McCartney opinion. The person who should produce his next album, Kanye West. It's gonna happen. Kanye's gonna come back and redeem himself. He's gonna flagellate himself in front of us. He's gonna redeem himself in the public eye in the next 3 years, and he's gonna produce McCartney 4. That's what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping all of my favorite artists don't get cancelled again. Hopefully Paul doesn't do his New Orleans or Jamaican accent anytime soon on any recording, and he doesn't get cancelled either. All right, for New Orleans. All right, let's go.
You probably Venus and Mars. My God, yeah.
But by the way, we mentioned Denny earlier. Yep. I only just heard today. He says, "Slap it on me, Denny," on Seaside Woman.
Slap
it on me, Denny. And it's like he gives Denny a freaking shout out on a Linda McCartney song. It's so cool. And I totally didn't expect it. I mean, the closest we get to that is like, take me down, Jimmy.
Yeah, the most that famous, of course, off of Junior's Fun. Now I'm gonna have to go re-listen to that after.
Yeah, it's after just this, before it's that solo, and he says, "Slap it on me, Denny." It blew my mind today. I was so happy to hear it. For anyone who doesn't know, by the way, me and Denny are from the same town here in the UK, Birmingham. I'm Sailor Sam from Birmingham.
I knew it. I had a feeling. It was just a matter of time before we discovered that.
You got a feeling, you mean?
Very deep inside.
Yeah. Right, Sam, deep feeling. Deep down.
Gonna go deep down. Oh man, but you know what?
Get deep down. Gonna do it right. Gonna get deep down. Look around this part of town tonight. He sounds like Jimmy Stewart in that song. Well, I can't give you that money. It's in his house and his house. And Mr. Potter took my money. There's a sinister-looking kid looking at me through a telescope.
Oh, this is what we get. This is what we get with Pints Across the Water, man. And full credit to you for coming up with the title of that. That is the title of this episode, man. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, you know what? I think we're going to wrap it up there, sir.
You see, Chief, if you say Wings, everybody goes, huh? What? You yell Beatles. We got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But you know what, Sam? Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I can't wait for us to do another, Pints Across the Water, another episode. 100%. Thank you so much for being on. And again, I'll link to all your information right below. Peace and love. Everybody be safe. And please just give a shout out to Sam. Check out his stuff.
No more autographs. I'm too busy. No more.
He won't be signing.
Yeah.
He won't be signing at all. Oh, my goodness.
Harry Krishna, peace and love, and all that jazz.
You don't think Harry would go and do a stupid thing like that, do you?
This is widescreen podcasting. This is wide screen podcasting.
Well, on that note, folks, just make sure to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Thank you, Sam, for being on. Check out his stuff. We'll see you on the next episode.